our speaker today. He is Eric Johnsrud. He's the chair of the North Star Rotary Youth Exchange. He joined Rotary in 1985 and has been a member of the Rotary clubs in Winona and Northfield. He has served as a club youth exchange officer and most recently North Star country officer for Spain. He practiced law in Winona for 36 years before retiring in 2021 and currently represents Region 11 on the board of directors of the North American Youth Exchange Network. And he is its incoming president nominee. So, welcome, Eric. As a club that has participated in that youth exchange, we are delighted to have you here and to learn more about what's going on with it.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, go ahead and just pull it up however you need it.
There, that works, I think.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it's always good to be able to talk about youth exchange. We have a very strong program in North Star, which represents districts 5950, 5960. This photo is from the state fair, and I don't know how many of you were there for the district conference, but our exchange students had a great experience there. It was a little different considering their service project, which turned out to be sorting waste at the state fair, but they survived. And they did enjoy the fair. They had a great time riding in the parade. So all around, it was a good event. It was a good way to welcome them to the Midwest. So North Star is the Rotary Youth Exchange Program for districts 5950 and 5960. For those who aren't familiar, this is 5950 and this is 5960. So those are the two districts we serve. And we send out students ages 15 to 21. The older students are once more focused on going to camps. Our program is almost entirely conducted by volunteers. We have one part-time employee, Sarah Johnston, and I don't know if you've ever met her, but she's amazing. She does way more work than she's paid for. And our program is supported by clubs located in the districts, and we work with the clubs on establishing exchanges. We have a couple different types of exchanges. We have a short-term exchange and the long-term exchange. We call the short-term exchange STEP, short-term exchange program. And we have a couple different varieties of that. We have a family-to-family exchange, and what that entails is an exchange over the summer months, where student A goes to visit student B in student B's country, and for roughly 3 to 4 weeks, and stays with their family. Then they return. The two students return to student A's country and stay with student A's family. That's for usually about 3 to 4 weeks. We had a situation where my daughter years ago had gone on a short-term exchange to Ecuador. She was in a village in the mountains in Ecuador where no one spoke English. So she was pretty much immersed in Spanish, and matter of fact had difficulty speaking English when she returned after that. And then her host family sister ended up coming later. She came because of the school year there. She ended up coming, I think in February, and she actually stayed a longer time. She stayed like 9 weeks. And she wanted so badly to see snow, and guess what we didn't have that winter? We took her to Chicago for a trip, and it was 70 degrees the beginning of March. So, but she enjoyed her time. But that's an easy program to set up. There's no visas required. The students travel as tourists, and we have a coordinator who helps set up those arrangements, talks to our counterparts in other countries to find families for those exchanges. We also have a second step option, which are camps and tours. And they're like your summer camp, except they're focused on different things. We've had, in the past year, at least 50 camps around the world that are set up by local Rotary clubs or local Rotary districts, and they can vary very widely. Finland has a sea and sail camp, Switzerland has a hiking camp, and Egypt has an Egyptology camp. We had a student from Northfield who went on that a couple years ago and had a great time doing that. And the age range is much wider. They have camps for the 15 to 17-year-olds and then also for the 18 to 21s. It's another great experience. Camps are usually 2 to 3 weeks long. And again, it's pretty simple to make those arrangements. They're traveling as tourists. We also have the classic long-term exchange program, which I'm sure you've had experience with. Students have to live in the North Star area, which is either district. They have to be at least 15 and can't be more than 19 when they go on their exchange. And they have to be good students. They don't have to be straight A students, but they have to be good, solid students. And we look at their grades, but we also look at their other activities, and we have an interview process and an orientation process that all the students go through before they depart on their exchange. The fee for this is $8,000 paid by the student. Now, it's a lot of money, but it covers quite a bit too. It covers the airfare, it covers the insurance that's required by Rotary. It also helps cover costs of the orientations, because we have 3 outbound orientations for the students as they prepare to go. They get their classic blue blazer that the exchange students wear. What color was yours, Madison?
Mine was also blue.
Yeah.
Yep.
It varies from country. I think the Dutch ones have orange, if I remember right, and I think I'm not sure if French has red.
I think so.
Yeah. So
Of course.
the countries vary on those, but anyway, they all get a blazer. And applications, I have to change this one. Applications will open on July 1st for the 26-27 exchange year. So that's going to be coming up fast. We're always planning ahead, and that's just the nature of the beast. As far as what clubs have to do with regard to responsibilities for outbound students, we want clubs to recruit students. We want clubs to agree to sponsor students who are willing to go on exchange, and there's a guarantee form that gets completed saying that they're sponsoring the student. There's a fee that each club pays per outbound student, $250 per outbound student, that helps with various things. And there's the max on that is $500 per club. And then we want the clubs to stay in contact with the student while they're abroad. The inbound student experience, if you send a student, we'd like you to host a student, and that's not a requirement. People think that's a requirement, and that they say, well, we can't send a student because then we'll have to host one. We don't follow that rule. We'd like you to host a student because we think it's a great experience for your club, for the families that host the student, and the student itself. If you do host a student, you need to arrange for placement with your local high school, recruit 2 to 3 host families, be responsible for the well-being of the student during their exchange year. We figure a club budget for this of about $2,500 to $3,000. What that includes is the student receives a monthly stipend of $100, and there's also a charge for North Star of $600 to help pay for programming, because we put on events for these inbound students. This fall we had Fall Festival, where we were at a park and then went to Valley Fair. There's a ski weekend we had for them. There's a couple of clubs that have done different activities. There was a Twins game, and then we most recently were at the Eagle Center in Wabasha, followed by an overnight in Northfield. So clubs get involved in those things and help out, but there's costs involved in those that we have when we put those on. And this gives you an idea of the breakdown. The monthly allowance is $100 a month. School lunches, obviously in Minnesota, that isn't necessarily an issue anymore with those being covered. We ask that any club hosting pay for one school activity fee. Yes?
Sorry, Eric. I think the microphone just turned off. I don't know if it's a battery issue or if it just timed out for some reason.
There we go.
Try again.
Try it again.
No.
No, it's,
Do you have a teacher voice you can employ? Or deploy?
I'll talk louder.
Okay.
Okay, so, the activity fee is important because that's one of the best ways for the students to get to know other students in their school. And then there's always incidental items such as gifts as well as our program fee. So this will just give you an idea of how the program works. And finding host families is what we always hear is the most difficult thing for clubs to do. And a lot of it has to do with how it's presented, but we think it's really important for families to experience the host family, being a host family. You gain a cultural perspective, you make new lifelong connections, and it's basically mutually rewarding. You're sharing your culture, they're sharing their culture. And how do you find host families? Well, we have some guides on how to do that. We also, the biggest thing is to just ask, and we think that's a club effort. We ask that it can come up in casual conversation. You can talk about it as an opportunity to host students and tell about past host family experiences. Also, we want to dispel myths about hosting, because one of what we hear is that empty nesters aren't good host families. Well, we've been an empty nester family hosting a student, and she was from a blended family in Belgium, and she loved it because she was the sole center of attention in the house. We'd sit down at dinner every night, and I swear we talked for 2 hours. It was a great experience for her, a great experience for us. Why should you be a hosting club? It's an investment in young lives, which is an investment in the future, and that's what Rotary is all about. There's so many reasons you can talk about for a club being involved in youth exchange. You could create connections with families and youth in your community. If think about it as a ripple effect. If you have an exchange student, that's how that student affects others around them. First, say they go to school, they have friends at school, they have families of those friends. It just keeps going out and out with regard to the impact of those students. Potential for gaining new members. You have a host family. Best story I can tell is we had a host mom who had hosted for a different program, got recruited to host for Rotary. After hosting for Rotary, she said, I'm not hosting for any other program, I'm hosting for Rotary. A few months later, she joined Rotary. So think of the potential of increasing membership by having host families involved. You can invite them to be volunteers and help out in your activities. There's all kinds of reasons out there for your club to be involved. Now, size of your club can be an impact as far as whether you can be involved in a long-term program or a short-term program. So I'll just touch on some things as far as what's needed for those programs. Typically, when we're doing a long-term program, we'll need a club youth exchange officer, and that's the person who heads up the program at the club level. Really is in charge. The club counselor is the person who works most closely with the student. And then it's always good to have a youth exchange committee because there's some other jobs that need to get done. The more, the merrier, because that shifts a lot of load around, and you don't have to take on so much responsibility. The club youth exchange officer manages the youth exchange program at the club level, takes the lead in recruiting efforts of students and host families, but shouldn't be doing all the work with regard to creating host families. That should be a wider effort, and is responsible for making sure that documentation is completed and uploaded to our our database. The counselor is the liaison and advocate. They have monthly contact that's required by the State Department and Rotary International. They also have to file monthly reports with North Star, again, as required by law. As far as getting started in Youth Exchange, we have a lot of resources. We can provide a lot of help. We have speakers to do presentations. We have Rotex who can come to schools and speak. Promotional brochures. We have even inbound student speakers who can go out and talk. PowerPoint slide presentations, videos we have on file. We have trainings online, in person, and by Zoom. We have manuals for youth exchange officers, club counselors, host families. We also have some support teams out there. We have a club support team that helps the club, the youth exchange officers, and the counselors. We also have a host family, well, it's now, we changed the name on it now, it's a family support team, which helps host families with various questions that come up. They have trainings 3 times out of the year, typically around when students are to shift from one family to the next. They also have monthly meetups, Zoom meetups, where host families can just come on and ask questions about issues that they have with their students or issues that come up. We have a lot of support, and that's what North Star is pretty well known for, their support system, as far as helping everyone in youth exchange. This is our support structure. You can see the student and the host family with the support team, the club counselor, youth exchange officer, and all the various positions for support throughout the organization. And I'll just crow a little bit because North Star has been recognized for its excellence in youth exchange. We're one of 3 programs in North America that was given the Gold Achievement Award for Excellence in Youth Exchange at the North American Youth Exchange Network Conference this last March. And then we were the only organization that was given the Dr. Abe Kutathara Innovation Award for innovative practices in youth exchange. So we have a pretty good reputation as a youth exchange program throughout North America and the world. So with that, I'll just kind of wrap things up. I think one of the ways you can get into youth exchange easy is to promote the short-term exchange program. There's no cost to the club. It's a matter of going in and promoting the program in the high schools and seeing who's interested. It's something that really doesn't take a lot of work for your club to get going on. And you know, those families, if they do, for instance, family-to-family exchange, they're potential host families for the future, they're potential members. So keep those things in mind when you think about doing youth exchange. I do have a little folder here that I'll leave with you, which is a club starter kit with brochures and some information on youth exchange. And so you could look that over, and any questions you have, northstarrotary.com is our website, or you can contact me or Sarah Johnston, who's our executive assistant. So, any questions? Yes, John.
Does the host family get to give some preferences of where the student might come from, which country or which region of the world, or not really?
What happens is when we send out a notice to all the clubs and tell them, you know, hey, you have an opportunity to be involved in youth exchange in the next fall. So this should come out, I think it usually gets sent out in September, October. And then on there's a preference list of countries. And we try to match you up with your preference if possible. I think we've been able to do that in recent years because our numbers have been kind of low. So we have been able to do that. I think we've made one change this year. Sometimes we'll get these preferences. I want one from South America, and I want it to be a girl, and it has to be younger. You know, if we get too many preferences, it's kind of hard to fill them all. But yeah, but the host families don't. But it's the club that really would make the request for the preference. Yes?
How has the program changed since COVID? Or like, how has it responded
Good
since
question.
post-COVID?
We're still responding. The numbers are about 50 to 60% of the students that we had before. So we used to send out between 50 and 60 students. Now we're in the upper 20s, low 30s. So I think that's going to be a while before that changes. And I don't know about and another thing that can impact it is the current administration policies and some of the uncertainty that we have as to how this is all going to progress.
How old are the kids usually? Are they more the juniors and seniors in high school, or is it a true mix?
It's a mix, but the outbounds have tended to be more gap year students. They, I think 60-some% were gap years. And you know, the inbounds, not as much. I think we've seen actually more younger students coming for inbound students, but our outbounds, big trend towards gap year. They don't want to miss their high school.
Yeah, that's true.
And maybe that's an impact of COVID as well, is that they had to miss school for so long that they don't want to miss anymore if they can.
There's a lot of studies out there that talk about the impact of it, impact on maturity levels, impact on socialization skills.
Yeah.
Those all play a part in, I think, where we're at as far as youth exchange. We are also seeing more students that have had some type of history of mental health issues. A lot of them are minor, but it creates some problems for us because other countries don't look on those issues the same as we do. And it's, you know, you want to send them to a certain country and they say, oh, well, we don't take students that have had this mental health issue. So then you have to look someplace else. Sometimes medication's an issue. There's medications such as Adderall that are regularly prescribed in the United States that are considered illegal in other countries. So there, cultural stuff, different attitudes on medicines, different attitudes on mental health. We have to deal with that every year with regard to our students that we send out. Other
Any more
questions?
questions? Well, hearing none, let's give them a round of applause.